practice it. And it's wonderful that we can do it in a group setting, all of us, right? So, I never know what's going to really steer the meeting in the silence. I do know what's going to steer the meeting all the time. It's the gift of the Holy Spirit that steers the meeting. And so, but what I wanted to speak on tonight a little bit was, do you have a desire beyond yourself? The power of desire. You know, desire is powerful. It's the one powerful force at work within every human being. You have a choice. And it can be harnessed for good or left to run amok. Our desire plays a powerful part in shaping our lives. When you desire the wrong things, and that alone, it will ruin our life. I guess we all could be in agreement to that. Because the power of desire attached to the wrong thing is like a runaway train, isn't it? And that runaway train, brothers, so often is our life. We so often listen at meetings of choices made by our fellows in the course of their lives, the rise and the fall, and the consequences of their desires. I sense there's a false ideology which asserts that we don't choose our desire, but rather that they emerge in us and we don't have no choice. But we are taught in the fellowship, though the desires that emerge within us, though they may be unwanted and unbidden, but once they emerge, we are granted the gift of an opportunity to choose what comes next. And that's the solution, isn't it? By God's grace. We all want to live our lives to change, don't we? Perhaps not completely, but in some way. But I sense that we're all sick patients who refuse at times to take our medicine. A medicine that heals the spiritual malady in me. Have you ever known someone who refused to take the medication, the medicine, that they so desperately needed? We often call it self-will run riot, don't we? But if we change the central object of our attention, this is the answer to our dilemma. This is the single dominant desire we should focus our hearts on: God. A real change in our attitude will only occur when we change the central object of our attention. And when, instead of the object being ourself, it comes to be God. When less and less we find ourselves asking God to work miracles for us, when rather than watching God to see what gift He will produce for us, we begin to wait. To wait on God in the silence of our prayer. That's what we do here tonight in that silence. To see what? If anything we can give to Him. Is there anything that we can give to God? It makes sense, you know. The more I think about myself, the unhappier I become. And the more I make myself available to God, the happier I become. Isn't that the truth? The separation from self-centeredness is service. The more I dedicate myself to serving my neighbor, the more my soul is flooded with the gift of joy. For the cause of all my pain is me. The choice is yours. If you don't choose to wholeheartedly change the central object of your attention, if you choose not to place God at your heart's desires, I guess you can expect a few things will happen. First, I sense your frustration with life will increase without that change. And our spiritual progress will be severely limited regardless of what other efforts we make. This is, I guess, why so often we feel like we're just spinning our wheels around here. Like we aren't getting anywhere. You know, you can busy yourself 24 hours a day with all the finest spiritual activities and devotions. But if we don't make God the central figure, central object of our life, our attention, I sense that we'll make very little progress in the spiritual life. And to work so hard and make so little progress will become increasingly frustrating. And I sense that you'll experience more pain and suffering. You know, I don't have a sadistic wish here. But this is an observation of reality. We hear it all the time in long-time attendance at meetings. Have you ever thought that this pain is the result of a space between the life that we are living and the life that we are called to live? When you ignore your conscience in favor of your own selfish pursuits, you will suffer mentally and spiritual anguish. For this space causes pain. And you will suffer when the life that you are living is out of alignment with what you believe to be good, to be true, to be right, to be just. When we live a life separated from your values, we suffer. And it is impossible for this space between our will and God to bring about peace, joy, love, and happiness. The space between the two wills will always cause more pain and more suffering. You're old enough to hear it. So tonight, it's in the gift of our prayer that we're able to slow down and stop rushing here, stop rushing there, and trying to solve all the problems, put out all the fires. And the speed of your life will increase your frustration at everyone and everything. And it will escalate. And what happens? I lose the ability to enjoy being present in the present moment. That's the gift of our prayer here tonight. The present moment that we come to. I become too fixated on the next problem that needs solving to enjoy this present, precious presence that God wishes to give us in our prayer. That's the gift. He gives it to us tonight. We are not here to solve the problems, brothers. The problems are here. Hear this. The problems are here to solve us. We all have problems. But the real problem is that we don't understand the role the problems are designed to play in our lives. These are the trials. We think we're here to solve the problem. But if you could take inventory of all your problems, each of us here tonight, and solve them this night, I guarantee that you'll awake to know a new problem in the morning. We are not here to solve the problems, brothers. The problems are here to solve us. Surrender. That's the gift. This approach to problem solving allows the problems, I sense, to sharpen our character, to refine our will, and to help us to grow in virtue, brothers, and to purify us. And here's a big word I'm going to say to you. And make us holy. Let your problem solve you. For it's in the way of our prayer, is not the way of retaliation or revenge. It's not the way of violence, answered within more violence. You have taught me, brothers, that God's way is forgiveness, mercy, and love. way is not easy to follow. It can feel upside down at times compared to the way the world works and the way we see it right now. But it's the way that leads to life. When Christ faced betrayal and violence, he did not strike back. He carried a cross, brothers. He carried a cross, and he laid down his life on it, and showed us that love, kindness, forgiveness was the final word. Be. So, thank you for letting me share that. And now I'm going to lead us into the psalm. So I'm going to ask Johnny, Steve, can you get a seat, perhaps? Let him get a seat, John. You're always on time for the Lord, Steve. Okay, let me lead us into the psalm, fellas, all right? Take a deep breath, exhale, let go, okay? Be still and know